10 years ago, before the private jets, the luxury penthouses, and the billion-dollar deals, I was just an ordinary young man trying to survive. Back then, my entire world revolved around one person, Emma Parker. I still remember the first time I saw her. It was our second year of college. I was running late for class, carrying a stack of books and a cup of coffee at the same time. I wasn't paying attention and accidentally crashed into someone near the library entrance. The coffee spilled everywhere. The books fell to the ground. And when I looked up, I saw the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. She was staring at her ruined white shirt. For a second, I thought she was going to slap me. Instead, she laughed. A real laugh. The kind that instantly made everything around her brighter. That was Emma. And from that moment on, my life changed forever. Within a few months, we became inseparable. We studied together. We ate together. We spent every spare moment together. Unlike most girls, Emma never cared about money, which was fortunate because I had absolutely none. I worked nights at a gas station just to pay tuition. Some days I could barely afford lunch. Whenever I apologized for not being able to take her to expensive restaurants, she would simply smile. "I don't need fancy things, Ethan." Then she'd hold my hand. "I just need you." At the time, I believed nothing could ever separate us. I was wrong. After graduation, life became difficult. Finding a decent job wasn't easy. Bills started piling up. Many of my friends gave up on their dreams and settled for ordinary lives. But Emma never stopped believing in me. Every time I wanted to quit, she pushed me forward. Every time I doubted myself, she reminded me who I was. One evening, we sat together on the roof of her apartment building, watching the city lights. The wind gently moved her hair. She rested her head on my shoulder. "Promise me something," she said. "What?" "No matter how hard life gets, don't stop chasing your dreams." I smiled. "Only if you promise to stay beside me." She looked into my eyes. "Always." At that moment, I truly believed her. A few months later, everything changed. I received a phone call from a startup company in another city. The founder had heard about a business proposal I had submitted months earlier. To my shock, they wanted me to join their executive team. The opportunity was incredible. It was the kind of chance that only comes once in a lifetime. The problem was that the company was located nearly 1,000 miles away. I would have to leave immediately. When I told Emma, I expected her to be upset. Instead, she smiled. Tears filled her eyes, but she smiled. "You have to go." "What about us?" I asked. "We'll make it work." I wasn't convinced. The distance scared me. But Emma grabbed my face and looked directly into my eyes. "Listen to me." I nodded. "This is your chance, Ethan. I don't want to lose you." "You won't." She smiled softly. "I'll be waiting when you come back." A week later, I left. The first few months were difficult. We talked every day. We called every night. Whenever I felt exhausted, hearing her voice gave me strength. The company grew rapidly. My responsibilities increased. Soon I was working 18-hour days. But no matter how busy I became, Emma remained my motivation. Everything I did was for our future, for our dreams, for the life we planned to build together. Then something strange happened. One day, Emma didn't answer my call. I wasn't worried at first. I assumed she was busy. But she didn't answer the next day either. Or the day after that. A week passed. Then two. Panic slowly began taking over. I called hundreds of times. No answer. I sent countless messages. Nothing. I even contacted her friends. None of them knew where she was. The silence was unbearable. After 3 months, I couldn't take it anymore. I requested leave from work and flew back home. The moment I arrived, I drove straight to her apartment. My heart pounded with anticipation. Maybe there had been some misunderstanding. Maybe she had lost her phone. Maybe everything would be okay. But when I reached the building, my world collapsed. The apartment was empty. Completely empty. The landlord informed me that Emma had moved out months earlier. No forwarding address. No explanation. Nothing. It was as if she had simply vanished. For the next year, I searched everywhere. I hired private investigators. I contacted old classmates. I searched social media. I followed every possible lead. But Emma Parker had disappeared without a trace. Eventually, I stopped searching. Not because I wanted to, because I had no choice. The pain never truly left. Instead, I buried it beneath work. I threw myself into building my company. Years passed. The startup became a corporation. The corporation became an empire. And eventually, I became one of the youngest billionaires in the country. People admired my success. They envied my wealth. They assumed I had everything. But they didn't know the truth. Every achievement felt incomplete. Every victory felt hollow. Because deep inside, part of me still wondered what had happened to the only woman I had ever truly loved. Little did I know, the answer was about to arrive at my mansion gate, in the form of a small girl carrying an old photograph, and a secret that would change my life forever. For several seconds after Lily said those words, I couldn't move. The rain continued falling outside the mansion, but all I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat. My mom said, "You're my dad." The sentence echoed inside my head again and again. It felt impossible. 10 years. 10 entire years had passed since Emma disappeared. And now a little girl was standing in front of me claiming to be my daughter. I looked down at the photograph in my hands. It was old and slightly damaged. The corners were bent. The colors had faded. But there was no mistake. The man in the picture was me. And the smiling woman beside me was Emma. A younger version of us. A happier version. A version that believed we would spend the rest of our lives together. Slowly, I looked at the little girl. She stared back nervously. For the first time, I noticed certain details. The shape of her eyes. The curve of her smile. The way she tilted her head when she was uncertain. She looked so much like Emma that it hurt. "Come inside," I finally said. The little girl hesitated. "Are you sure?" I nodded. "You shouldn't be standing in the rain." The guards opened the gates. Lily followed me toward the mansion. As we walked inside, I noticed her staring at everything. The giant chandeliers. The marble floors. The expensive artwork hanging on the walls. Her eyes widened with amazement. It was obvious she had never seen anything like this before. One of the housekeepers approached us. "Sir, should I prepare the guest room?" I looked at Lily. She seemed exhausted. Her small hands were trembling slightly. "Yes," I replied. "And bring some food." The housekeeper nodded and left. A few minutes later, Lily sat on a large sofa in the living room. She looked completely out of place, like a tiny bird lost inside a palace. I sat across from her. Neither of us knew what to say. Finally, I broke the silence. "How old are you?"
8.
My stomach tightened. 8 years old. The timeline matched perfectly. Too perfectly. "What's your full name?" "Lily Parker."
Parker.
Emma's last name. I swallowed hard. "Where do you live?" Lily lowered her eyes. "We used to live in a small apartment." "Used to?" She nodded slowly. "Mom passed away 3 weeks ago." The words hit me like a truck. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Emma was dead. After spending 10 years wondering where she was, after imagining countless scenarios, after hoping I might someday find her, she was gone. Forever. I turned away for a second, trying to hide the pain on my face. But it was impossible. Emma had once been my entire world. And now I was learning about her death from a child. Our child. A maid entered the room carrying food. Fresh bread. Soup. Fruit.
Juice.
The moment the tray touched the table, Lily's eyes lit up. She tried to act polite, but I noticed how quickly she reached for the bread. My heart broke. The poor girl was hungry. Really hungry. For several minutes, she ate quietly. When she finished, she whispered, "Thank you." I forced a smile. "You're welcome." Then I noticed the backpack still sitting beside her. It looked old and worn, as if it had been carried for years. "What do you have in there?" I asked. Lily immediately grabbed the bag protectively. "Mom told me never to lose it." Something in her voice caught my attention. "Can I see it?" For a moment she hesitated. Then she slowly unzipped the backpack. Inside were only a few things. A small stuffed rabbit, a notebook, some clothes, and a sealed envelope. My eyes immediately focused on the envelope. Across the front, written in familiar handwriting, were 3 words. For Ethan. My heart stopped. I recognized the handwriting instantly. Emma's. Even after 10 years. Even after all this time, I would recognize it anywhere. My hands shook as Lily handed me the envelope. Mom said I should only give this to you. I stared at it for several seconds, afraid to open it, afraid of what I might discover. Finally, I took a deep breath and broke the seal. Inside was a letter. The paper was worn and slightly stained, as if it had been read many times. I unfolded it carefully. The first line nearly brought me to tears. Dear Ethan, if you're reading this, it means Lily found you. And it also means I'm gone. The room suddenly felt smaller. My vision blurred. I continued reading. There are things you deserve to know. Things I should have told you years ago. I never wanted to leave you. I never stopped loving you. But powerful people made sure we could never be together. I froze. Powerful people? What did that mean?
Who is she talking about?
The questions immediately began piling up. But before I could continue, I noticed something else. Attached to the letter was an old photograph, one I had never seen before. The picture showed Emma holding a newborn baby in her arms. She looked tired, but happy. On the back of the photograph, written in Emma's handwriting, were 6 words. The day our daughter was born. My entire body went numb. I stared at the picture, then at Lily, then back at the picture again. The resemblance was undeniable. Tears filled my eyes. For 8 years, my daughter had existed. For 8 years, she had celebrated birthdays without me,
Gone to school without me.
cried without me, needed me, without me ever knowing. And, the worst part? Someone had made sure I never found out. Someone had stolen 8 years of my daughter's life from me. At that moment, I made a silent promise. I didn't know who was responsible. I didn't know why Emma had disappeared. I didn't know whether Lily was truly my daughter. But I was going to find out, no matter what it cost. Because for the first time in 10 years, I finally had a reason to stop looking at the past and start fighting for the future. That night, sleep was impossible. I sat alone in my office, staring at Emma's letter. The mansion was silent. Lily had finally fallen asleep in the guest room after an exhausting day. But my mind refused to rest. The questions kept growing. Who were the powerful people Emma mentioned? Why would anyone want to keep us apart? And most importantly, was Lily really my daughter? I hated myself for even asking the question. The moment I looked at her, something inside me already believed she was. But belief wasn't enough. I needed certainty. The next morning, I contacted one of the most respected genetic specialists in the country. Within hours, a private DNA test was arranged. When Lily arrived at the clinic, she seemed nervous. I knelt beside her. Are you okay? She nodded, a little scared. I smiled gently. Me too. That made her laugh. It was the first time I had seen her smile since arriving at the mansion. For a brief moment, she looked exactly like Emma. The doctor collected the samples. Then came the hardest part, waiting. 3 days. 72 hours. It felt like an eternity. While waiting for the results, I decided to uncover the truth about Emma. I hired the best investigative team money could buy. Former detectives, cyber experts, private investigators. I wanted answers. Every answer. Find everything. I instructed them. I don't care how much it costs. The lead investigator nodded. We'll start immediately. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Not because I expected good news, but because I was finally moving toward the truth. 3 days later, the investigators returned. The expression on their faces immediately told me something was wrong. Very wrong. The lead investigator placed a thick file on my desk. Mr. Blackwood, he said carefully, what we're about to tell you is disturbing. My stomach tightened. Go on. He opened the file. We tracked Emma's movements after you left for the startup job. I leaned forward. Every detail mattered. About 2 months after your departure, she became pregnant. My chest tightened.
Pregnant.
With Lily, the investigator continued. At first, everything seemed normal. She continued working and attempted to contact you several times. I frowned. Attempted? He nodded. Phone calls, emails, letters. I stared at him. What do you mean attempted? The investigator exchanged glances with his team. Then he delivered the first shocking revelation. None of those messages ever reached you. Silence filled the room. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What? We verified the records. Emma contacted you dozens of times. My hands slowly clenched into fists. Then why didn't I receive anything? The investigator took a deep breath. Because someone intercepted them. For several seconds, I simply stared at him, trying to process the information. Someone had deliberately blocked Emma's messages. Someone had prevented me from learning the truth. But who?
And why?
The investigator flipped to another page. We believe we found the answer. My pulse accelerated. A photograph slid across the desk. The moment I saw the face, anger exploded inside me. Victor Kane, my former business partner. Years ago, Victor and I had built the startup together. Back then, we were friends, brothers even, until greed changed everything. Eventually, I discovered he had been stealing company funds. I exposed him. He lost everything. His position, his reputation, his fortune. After that, he disappeared from my life. Or so I thought. The investigator pointed toward the file. We found evidence suggesting Victor was obsessed with destroying you. I felt sick. Explain. He monitored your personal life for years. The room spun. What? He bribed employees. Hacked communications. Intercepted messages. I could barely breathe. The investigator looked directly at me. We believe Victor discovered Emma's pregnancy. My blood ran cold. No. The investigator nodded. He knew that if you found out, you would return immediately. I slammed my fist onto the desk. The sound echoed throughout the office. Years. 10 years. 10 years stolen because of one man's obsession. But the worst revelation was still coming. The investigator opened the final section of the file. His voice became quieter. There's something else. I stared at him. What? He hesitated, then spoke. Emma wasn't hiding from you. The room fell silent. I could hear my own heartbeat. What do you mean? His next words shattered me. She was hiding from Victor. My entire body froze. The investigator continued. Several witnesses reported seeing Victor approach Emma multiple times. He threatened her. He followed her. He made it clear that if she contacted you, there would be consequences. I felt physically ill. Emma had spent years protecting Lily. Alone. Terrified. While I believed she had abandoned me, the guilt was unbearable. Every lonely night, every painful memory, every moment I spent blaming her. She had never stopped loving me. She had been trying to protect our daughter. Tears blurred my vision. The investigator slowly closed the file. Mr. Blackwood. I looked up. What? We believe Emma intended to tell you everything. He placed another document on the desk. A month before her death, she hired someone to locate you. I stared at the paper. She had been searching for me, even at the end, even after everything. My chest felt like it was being crushed. At that moment, there was only one thing I knew for certain. Whoever stole those 10 years from us, whoever forced Emma to live in fear, whoever kept me from my daughter, would pay. And as I sat there trying to control my emotions, my phone suddenly rang. The caller ID displayed the name of the DNA specialist. My heart stopped. The results were ready. For several seconds, I simply stared at my phone. The screen continued lighting up. The DNA specialist was calling.
My heart felt like it might explode.
This was it. The answer. The truth I had been waiting for. The truth that would either change my life forever or destroy the fragile hope that had begun growing inside me. I took a deep breath and answered. Hello. The doctor's voice sounded calm. Mr. Blackwood, the results are ready. My throat went dry. Can you tell me now? There was a brief pause. I'm afraid this is something you should hear in person. My stomach tightened instantly. For a moment, Panic took over. Was that good news? Bad news? I couldn't tell. When? I asked. The sooner the better. Less than an hour later, I arrived at the clinic. The drive felt endless. Every red light seemed designed to torture me. Every minute felt like an hour. By the time I entered the building, my hands were shaking. The receptionist immediately escorted me to a private office. The doctor was waiting. A thick folder sat on the desk in front of him. The moment I saw it, my chest tightened. Please sit down, Mr. Blackwood. I sat, but I barely heard anything around me. My eyes remained fixed on the folder. The doctor opened it slowly, then looked directly at me. Before I tell you the results, I want you to understand that these tests are extremely accurate. I nodded. Just tell me. The doctor slid a document across the desk. I looked down. For several seconds, the words blurred together. Then I found the result. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. My breathing stopped. The room went silent. I read it again, and again, and again. But the numbers didn't change. There was no mistake, no doubt, no uncertainty. Lily was my daughter. My daughter. The words echoed inside my head. For 8 years, I had a daughter. For 8 years, she had existed without me knowing. Tears filled my eyes. I lowered my head, unable to stop them. For the first time in years, I cried. Not because I was sad, because I was overwhelmed, because life had just given me something I thought I would never have. A family. The doctor quietly left the room, giving me time alone. Several minutes passed before I finally stood. I picked up the results, then left the clinic. The drive back to the mansion felt completely different. The city looked different. The sky looked different. Everything looked different. Because I wasn't returning home alone anymore. I was returning home as a father. When I arrived at the mansion, the staff immediately noticed something had changed. Welcome back, sir. I nodded, but I couldn't stop smiling. One of the maids approached carefully. Lily is in the garden. Without saying another word, I headed outside. The sun was beginning to set. Golden light covered the entire property. And there she was, sitting beneath a tree, drawing pictures in a small notebook. For a moment, I simply watched her, trying to absorb the reality. This little girl, this beautiful little girl, was mine. Lily looked up and noticed me. She immediately stood, her expression nervous, hopeful, scared, as if she already knew why I had gone to the clinic. I slowly walked toward her, my heart pounding with every step. When I reached her, I stopped. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then Lily looked down at the ground. What did the test say? Her voice was barely above a whisper. The fear in her eyes nearly broke me. She had spent her entire life wondering if someone wanted her, wondering if she belonged, wondering if her father cared. I dropped to one knee in front of her, then gently placed my hands on her shoulders. Lily. She looked at me. Tears were already forming in her eyes. I smiled. A real smile. The kind I hadn't felt in years. The test says you're my daughter. For a second, she didn't react, almost as if she couldn't believe it. Then her lips started trembling. Really? I nodded. Really. The next moment, Lily threw her arms around me and hugged me as tightly as she could. I hugged her back. Neither of us wanted to let go. The years we lost, the birthdays we missed, the memories stolen from us. None of it mattered in that moment, because finally, we had found each other. Dad.
It was the first time she called me that.
And hearing it nearly shattered my heart. I closed my eyes, holding her closer. Yes, sweetheart. She smiled through tears. I was afraid you wouldn't want me. The words hit me like a knife. I pulled back and looked directly into her eyes. Lily. She nodded. There is nothing in this world I could ever want more than you. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. But this time they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. For the first time in her life, she wasn't alone anymore. And neither was I. As the sun disappeared behind the horizon, I made a silent promise. A promise to Emma. A promise to Lily. And a promise to myself. No matter what happened next, no matter who stood in our way, no matter how powerful they were, I would never lose my daughter again. But at that exact moment, neither of us knew that someone was already watching us. Someone from Emma's past. Someone dangerous. And they had just discovered where Lily was. The following morning, I woke up earlier than usual. For the first time in years, I had a reason to smile before the day even began. Lily was here. My daughter. Even now, the words felt unreal. For 8 years, I had no idea she existed. And now she was sleeping under my roof. Safe. Protected. Home. As I walked downstairs, I found Lily sitting at the dining table. She was eating pancakes while one of the housekeepers helped braid her hair. The moment she saw me, her face lit up. Dad. A smile instantly appeared on my face. I don't think I had ever heard a more beautiful word. She jumped from her chair and ran toward me. I caught her in my arms. For a moment, everything felt perfect. But deep down, I knew something wasn't finished. Emma's story still had missing pieces. There were questions that remained unanswered, and I couldn't ignore them. That afternoon, after Lily left to explore the mansion with the staff, I returned to my office. Emma's letter sat on my desk. Beside it was the old backpack Lily had carried across the city. I had already gone through most of its contents. The stuffed rabbit, the notebook, the clothes, the photographs. Nothing seemed unusual, but something kept bothering me. Emma was careful. Organized, thoughtful. If she truly wanted me to understand everything, she wouldn't leave loose ends. There had to be more. I picked up the backpack again. This time, I inspected every inch of it. Every pocket, every zipper, every seam. Then I noticed something strange. Inside one of the hidden compartments was a small tear in the fabric. My heart skipped a beat. Carefully, I reached inside. My fingers touched something. An envelope. A second envelope. One that neither Lily nor I had seen before. My pulse accelerated. The front contained only 2 words. For Ethan alone. Emma's handwriting. I immediately closed the office door, then sat down. For several seconds, I simply stared at it. Part of me was afraid, because sometimes the truth hurts more than the lie. Finally, I opened it. Inside was another letter. Longer than the first one. Far longer. My hands trembled as I began reading. Dear Ethan, if you found this letter, then it means Lily is finally with you. And if she's with you, then I can leave this world knowing she'll be safe. There are things I've hidden from everyone, even from Lily. Things I never had the courage to tell you. Not because I didn't trust you, but because I wanted to protect you. The day you left for your new job was one of the proudest moments of my life. I knew you were destined for greatness. I knew you would build something extraordinary. What I didn't know was that someone else was watching. Victor Kane. The moment I read his name, my jaw tightened. Even now, after everything I had learned, seeing it written by Emma felt different. More personal. More painful. I continued reading. After discovering I was pregnant, Victor approached me. At first, he acted friendly. But then the threats began. He said your future depended on you staying focused on your business. He believed a family would distract you. He believed a child would weaken you. When I refused to listen, he became dangerous.
He followed me.
He watched me. He made it clear that if I contacted you, people could get hurt, including you. I felt sick. Every word was another knife to the heart. All those years. All that fear. Emma had carried it alone. The letter continued. I wanted to tell you about Lily every single day. There wasn't a moment when I stopped loving you. But every time I tried to contact you, Victor found out. And every time he found out, the threats became worse. Eventually, I stopped trying. Not because I gave up. Because I was terrified. I chose distance because I thought it would keep you safe. I chose loneliness because I thought it would protect our daughter. If I made the wrong choice, I am sorry. More than you'll ever know. By the time I reached the end of the page, tears were running down my face. I wiped them away and continued reading. Then I reached the final section. The section that changed everything. There is one final thing you need to know. I never regretted loving you. Not for a single second. Not when I was alone. Not when life became difficult. Not even when I knew I was dying. Because every time I looked at Lily, I saw you. Your kindness. Your determination. Your heart. She is the best part of both of us. Please don't let her grow up believing she was abandoned. Tell her the truth. Tell her that her parents loved her more than anything in this world. And Ethan, if someday you find happiness again, don't feel guilty.
Live, laugh, love.
For both of us.
Goodbye.
Forever yours.
Emma.
I couldn't hold back any longer. The letter slipped from my hands. And for the first time in over 10 years, I cried openly. Not because of regret. Not because of guilt. But because I finally knew the truth. Emma never left me. Emma never stopped loving me. Emma spent her entire life protecting our daughter, even when it cost her everything. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. I looked up. Lily stood in the doorway. Concern filled her eyes.
Dad.
Quickly, I wiped away my tears. She walked over slowly. Are you okay? I smiled, then pulled her into my arms. Yes, sweetheart. She looked at the letter. Was it Mom? I nodded. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Lily whispered, Do you think Mom is watching us? My chest tightened. I looked toward the window, toward the sky, and smiled. I know she is. Lily smiled too. Then she wrapped her arms around me, and together we stood there, father and daughter, no longer separated by secrets, no longer separated by lies, no longer separated by fear. Years later, on the day Lily graduated from high school, thousands of people filled the auditorium. I sat proudly in the front row. As the valedictorian, Lily was chosen to give the final speech. She stepped onto the stage, confident, strong, beautiful, just like her mother. The audience applauded. Then Lily looked directly at me and smiled. I want to thank two people. The room became silent. My mom, her voice cracked slightly, who sacrificed everything for me. Many people wiped tears from their eyes. Then she continued. And my dad. She smiled. Who found me when I needed him most. At that moment, I couldn't stop the tears. The audience erupted into applause. Lily's eyes met mine one final time, and she whispered the words that made every painful year worth surviving. We did it, Dad. I smiled through tears. Yes, sweetheart, we did.